morning, or good whatever time it is when you're listening to this. In this movie, I go over a small project I created that's very similar to the Chapter 5 project in your textbook, the tech support project. It has 3 classes, sort of an organizing class, which asks an input reader class to return some words that the user types at the keyboard. Then it passes those words into Java knowledge and looks through those words to see if it has any information about any of the words. It's a little, the concept of the information being stored here is it's information about the Java language, thus studying Java. So let's just look at this quickly. We'll start with the code for studying Java, then we'll look at the code for input reader, then the code for Java knowledge. They're all pretty simple. And again, some of this code is almost identical. For instance, the code in input reader to the code in the classes in your textbook, the Chapter 5 tech support project. So, studying Java, let's look at this first. So, this isn't the entire class, but this is the heart of it. We have a Boolean here, which is just used to control this loop. Right? We call print welcome, which prints some welcome text, and at the end we call print goodbye. Otherwise, we're inside this loop, which is looping until the Boolean is set to true. Now true is false. That ends the loop. It comes down and prints the goodbye text and is done. So locally, we declare a hash set called input. Now a hash set, in the videos, I haven't talked about hash sets. I've talked about hash maps. Hash sets are, you could think of them as a subset of hash maps. It uses hashing. Hash sets use hashing to determine where to put things. That's what's happening under the hood, so to speak. But with a hash set, you just have keys. You don't have values. So there's no, they're not two things, a key and a value. There's just a key. So you can store a bunch of words, for instance, in a hash set. And that's what we actually do here. And we'll look at that in a little bit. But if you understand a hash map, then a hash set is just a hash map without the additional value piece. It's just keys. So we make this input variable, which stores references to hash sets. And then we go and we call reader, and we ask it we call its getInput method, which we can assume is going to has to generate, for this to compile correctly, hash set. We'll go and look at that in just a second. If input, this hash set contains, so that's a method of the hash set class, contains the string by, then finished is true. So the user typed in something like by, I'm done. And in which case, that would be one of the words in the hash set, by. By would contain, input would contain by. That would be true. It would be done. Sorry. Going over that a little laboriously there. Else, we call Java info, which is defined up in the fields of this class. You don't see that, but that would be up there. Which is this reference to a Java knowledge class. We call the generate answer method, which we'll look at in a minute, and we pass in the hash set to that method. And then if this method generates a response, it gets returned, stored in response, and then we output that. And we keep doing this until the user types by, in which case we call the print goodbye method. Okay, pretty straightforward. A loop that's getting a hash set, seeing if it contains by. If not, seeing if we have in Java knowledge any knowledge of the words that they typed in. All right, so now off to look at input reader. So what's going on here? So we're just going to look at the get input method. We put a prompt up on the screen. This line is going to allow the user to type in something. Because reader is attached to the keyboard. So whatever they type in, up to where they press return, we're going to trim off any spaces at the beginning and at the end. That's what this method does. And then we're going to convert everything to lowercase. That's what that does. So let's say the user typed in what, oh, what is an array list. Notice what occurs twice. It's deliberate that I did that. We next use a method of the string class split, which will split a string at the spaces, and it will put each word into its own array position. So that's what happens here. So the what goes into position 0 and so on down. Okay, it's all done by this input line split. We're storing that in an array of strings called word array. Now, here we declare a hash set. Remember, that just has keys, no values. So hash set of strings called words. And here we actually make the new hash set. And then we go through with a for each loop the word array, this guy over here, and we add the words that we find into the hash set, which I'm representing in this circle. So what gets added? O gets added. What? A key quality of hash sets is that you can only have one copy of a value. All values in the set must be unique. So what happens here is when the second one is attempted to be added to the hash set, it actually, in effect, clobbers the first what. But we only have one what there. That's the rule. And then the is, and the and the array list. So those are all added to the hash set. And then we return that hash set back to whatever called this method. And that's right here. So words, that circle of hash set of words is stored in input. Now we do that if input.contains, contains is a method of hash set, by, we're done. If otherwise, we pass that circle of words, that hash set, into generate answer. So let's go look at that. So here we've got Java knowledge. We've got the entire class, I think. I don't think there's anything else down here. Before we look at this in detail, just note that when we pass, this guy got passed back to here, and then from here passed into here. So that's why this blue arrow points over here, meaning we basically from Java facts have, from this method, from this class, we have access to this object. We have access to the hash map that has our 5 words in it. Okay? So let's look at this. So in the constructor, we create a new hash map of a key of string and a value of string. And then we call fill Java data, which is this method. And here we just put in 2 key value pairs into the hash map. Here's the first one. We put the key is field, and this text is the value. Second one, key value. So we have two things in our hash map. And so it's the word field and a definition of a field, and the word variable and the definition of variable. All right? So with any set that's passed in to generate answer, what we're going to do is use a for each loop. This is a representation of the hash map that we've built right here. So we're going to go through the hash set of words one at a time, and we'll make the string answer equal to a call to JavaFacts, which is this guy, dot get word. So let's say the first word that this for each loop pulls out is what. So word is equal to what. So we call the JavaFacts hash map, or we use the get method. We send in what, and it looks through and doesn't find that it has no what, so it returns null. So it skips right past this because this says if answer is not equal to null. Right? Now it does this with all the words in the hash set. If it finds a match at any point, if one of the words in the hash set matches field or variable, then it returns the answer, which is the matching value for the key. So if the word field were in the hash set, and word was equal to field, then answer after this line would be equal to this string, variables that are declared, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Answer would not be equal to null, so we would return that. We would return variables that are declared at the top of a class. And that would get returned back to here, and then we would output our response. System that output that string. Okay? Pretty straightforward, I think. If, after looking through all the words in the hash set, all the values in the hash set, because they might not be words, so that's a more general way of saying it. If it gets through the entire loop and hasn't returned because it hasn't found anything, any matches, then it drops down here and returns, I don't know about that subject. This is sort of the default response. Okay? So that is a quick overview of a little program that uses 3 classes to input reader, to get a hash set containing a user's response, or some text from a user, which is split into words that are stored in the hash set. That hash set is passed into Java knowledge, or object of Java knowledge, and Java knowledge checks to see if it knows any of those words by one after the other, asking the hash map to check to see if it has that word as one of its keys. And if it does, it returns the associated value and outputs it. Okay? So thanks for listening. I hope this has made hash sets and hash maps a little bit clearer. Thank you.